And you can tell the torque right away, man. By one gear, you're already car length and fucking pulling, man. And I'm same start and everything, you know what I mean? Very nice. Sounds fucking sick, dude. Alright guys, it is the next day. Just rotating the crankshaft around, spinning it, and making sure my top dead center marks are appropriate. So right over here, you see the black chain link and the dot on the cam gear, indicating the cam gear is in top dead center. And right here on the bottom, let me show you. There's an arrow on the top that meet up together, and there's a chain link, the black one. The sprocket has a little marking on it as well, so everything is looking good. I mean, I took the pin out of the timing tensioner and I'm spinning it around. It sounds okay. There's a little squeak noise. I'm assuming it's squeaking because of lack of oil pressure on the tensioner, and I think all that is good. I just wiped down with acetone the mounting surfaces. And the plan for today, I'm not using Honda Bond. I'm just using high temp silicone RTV. This one I actually got at Harbor Freights for really cheap, maybe like $4 or $5 for the whole thing. I got 2 of them, way cheaper than most things and most places charge for high temp silicone. So we're gonna throw that on, and hopefully by the end of today we get the oil pan on and we get this on, and maybe we can even throw the mount on. Yeah, well, we have to throw the mount on to get the oil pan off. And yeah, let's take a look and go from there. Cześć, jak? No dobra, no co tam, trzymaj się. Alright, I got the whole thing smeared up all the way. Time to install it. Alright guys, battery died on the GoPro. We made some progress here. I painted the gasket maker silver, nice and stealth, right? And put that little cap on the oil bung. Hopefully that seals up quite well. We started installing, we did install the stock positive crankcase ventilation valve in there and connected it to the intake manifold. We did connect the fuel line back in as well with some hoses. I got the coolant hoses going back in, radiator hose. I'm just trying to get some of the harness dialed in over here. And same thing with the oil pressure sensor and whatnot. The most important part is we got the motor mounts back into place, and it's really nice to see this engine standing on its own. We were able to take out the jack stand, and let's go downstairs under the car one last time. All right, there it is, guys. Cylinder 1 looking good. Cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4. I got the mating surfaces cleaned up for the most part. I'm gonna put back the windage tray here and the oil pickup tube. Once that is in there, we are ready to install the oil pan with the gasket maker. I got way more gasket maker than I really needed, which is all good. There it is. I mean, that is it, guys. Everything's replaced. Everything looks good. And progress, man. Really seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now as this is coming back together. Alright guys, I made some progress over the last couple hours here. I got the stock air box back in. All the original hoses and everything is connected here. I'm trying to get it dialed in the way it was. I managed quite easily actually to get the AC compressor brackets back on, so that's all in there. The water pump pulleys back on. Also the timing or the belt tensioner is back on over here. And from the bottom end, I got my pulley in. The pulley's in, but it's not tight. I just got it in place and loosened, and I'm trying to figure out how far it actually goes in, because it seems like it's not sitting flush perfectly, and I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be or something is not adjusted properly on the oil pump. Other than that, I got a few brackets here that I have to finagle with and try to figure out how it all went. I got the factory catalytic converter in place again, just looking at the bolts, make sure I have everything. But overall, man, it's been going pretty well, and I think that's gonna be a wrap for today. I got 2 more days to work on the car a little bit, and then I got the whole weekend that I took off to finish it, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna be starting it here shortly. And I swear to God, if this thing doesn't start and run beautifully after all this, I'm out of options. I'm exhausted, and I won't know what to do. At that point, it's gonna have to be going back to the drawing board to figure it out. And on that note, guys, peace. Alright guys, it is the next day of the R18 turbo rebuild, and we're putting the stock engine, everything back together, as you guys seen from the progress. Here's another day. We're just buttoning up some of the shields here that are original, and everything else is looking pretty good. At this point, I am ready to pour in some oil, and I'm just gonna pour in the oil right over the engine right over here so it gets lubricated, since the car's been sitting for just about a month right now. Oil is really hard to get to these days, and remember, I used to use Pennzoil pretty much for the entire life of the car. Towards the end, we switched to Quaker Steak, and honestly, they didn't have 530 synthetic in neither Pennzoil or Quaker Steak, so we chose the next thing that's there, which is Valvoline. I'm not too concerned about it because this is just going to be a quick break in oil, run 1,000 miles on it, do a quick oil change. So I'm gonna lube it up. The gaskets have been pretty much curing. The valve cover gasket, or the timing chain cover gasket, has been curing for 2 days. Oil pan already had a whole day to cure. Granted, the temperature isn't the best. We've been having 40-degree temperature, but I think they'll be fine to pour in the oil today. We're still trying to figure out the pulley, how to tighten the pulley appropriately. So it seems like the pulley actually, crankshaft pulley actually drives the oil pump. The oil pump itself doesn't drive on the timing chain. I thought maybe the timing chain drives the oil pump, but not in this scenario. Correct me if I am wrong, but yeah, progress, man, progress. I'm just curious how many bolts I'm gonna have left over after this project is over. I do have to get the secondary oxygen sensor off and the primary sensor off. We're gonna have to swap them onto the original location of the vehicle. And again, the bung delete here, I did pass. I mean, I didn't pass emissions, but everything was okay when I ran this setup with the 90-degree reducer, and I did elongate this sensor, so hopefully it still works okay on mine. Oh, good thing I loosened it already previously, so I loosened it on the vehicle, so now it's quite easy to remove it. It's another really crappy day working on the car. I went to O'Reilly's Auto Parts. We rented the Honda Acura crankshaft holder. We're gonna need this to hold the crankshaft while we tighten it down. This is the crank bolt, and look at the directions here. It's saying we have to lubricate the actual threads on the bolt and the head right between the washer, and these other parts have to stay clean on the pulley and the actual crankshaft. Then if you're reusing the crank bolt, which we're reusing it, we have to torque it down to 52 foot-pounds, and then once we torque it down, we're gonna do an additional 90. And this is how we do it. We're using the holder, we jam the nut and then torque it down. If you are using a new crankshaft pulley or bolt, then first you torque it down to 133 foot-pounds, take the bolt out, retighten it to 37 foot-pounds, and then you're going to do an additional 82 degrees angle. A lot of numbers, kind of overkill. I've seen a lot of people just use a torque or an impact gun and impact it on. The chances of this coming loose, from what I hear, are pretty low, but we're going to do it how the manual says to do it, since we have everything on hand, and we have this resource over here, which again, HOCivic.com. A lot of good information, and without this stuff, I probably wouldn't be able to do what I have done so far. Or maybe I would have, but it wouldn't have been to spec. And just to show you guys the weather, right now it's snowing. A little bit of snow, a little bit of rain. That's just how we work around here. Alright, just cranked the key the first time in forever. We have to change the tune on the car back to factory settings. So we're gonna go under new calibration. We got the factory settings for our Civic with our 185cc injectors. Throttle cable's working. Hit that upload button and hope it uploads well without any problems. Once we got the factory tune uploaded on the vehicle, guys, what we're gonna do, we're gonna unmarry the Honda from the ECU here, and we're gonna go from there. We're gonna unmarry it just in case anything happens. Anybody else can buy the Honda off of me. Ooh, well, it's still moving, so we'll see how it goes.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater.